everyone, welcome back to Caprine Cottage. My name is Anne, and today we're back in the studio for a podcast episode. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. And I think we'll just get right into things. I have actually quite a bit to show you. I had planned kind of a different video for this week, but I realized I actually have a lot to talk about, and if I don't talk about it now, it gets away from me, so it's better to just do it now. I have a few finished projects. I have lots of things in the works. There's even more things going on behind the scenes that I'm not quite ready to talk about, but yeah, that's just to say there's a lot going on. And other than that, I think we'll just get right into things. I guess I'll actually start with what I'm wearing, and this is my Wildwood shawl by Melody Hoffman, and this is made with 2 strands of Plotalopi. It's one of my favorite things I've ever made. It's super cozy. I actually like the idea of making, I want to say making another one, but I think I want something the same but different, if that makes sense. I'm really in like a shawl making mood, and that we'll talk about that more later. I just feel like I'm feeling really influenced by this very cold and long winter. So I really love this project. I think a few of you have also made it. The only thing I will say is that if you do choose to make it, I would choose a lighter color. Like, obviously I love this. I wear this all the time. It's a very wearable color, but I do feel like the tree motifs kind of get lost with a darker color. I think it really looks nicer, you know, in a like natural cream shade or a light gray, something like that. Let's get right into finished objects. I have 2 little guys, and one you've pretty much seen, but it's all the way done now, and so I won't talk too long, but it's the Rad Radish. They're 100% done now. So I love these. I think I talked about it, I think it's now 2 episodes ago, so if you want to hear more details about them, I would go there, but I did block them and finish the toe on the second one, so I thought you would like to see them. 100% done. They're ready for spring. I think I'm going to save them and wear them to our first farmer's market. I just think that's really cute. And yeah, all the yarns I used are on Ravelry. And like I said, if you go back 2 episodes, you can hear all about the things that went on with these. And then the second thing is another pair of socks, and these are the Rucksack socks. These are by Lindsey Fowler, Larkspur Knits, from her book, Fields and Valleys. Trails and Valleys? It's Trails and Valleys. Sorry. But I bought that book at Indie Untangled, and I was gonna say this is the first thing I made out of it, but it's not. It's the second thing. And I'm in love with this sock pattern. I think I told you guys also in the last regular podcast, not the plans video, but the one before. I'll put a card in case you have missed that or if you're new. But I just am in love with this sock pattern. I love the double knit heel, and I held double some Lang reinforcement thread on the heels and toes. It makes a cute little contrast, and I like the idea that these are going to be like nice, sturdy, kind of more like athletic socks, tech socks. I don't mean by athletic, I don't mean like going to the gym socks. I mean like hiking, I guess. Anyway, I love these. They're knit in Rambler from the Woolly Thistle, which was kindly gifted to me, but I'm so addicted to this yarn. I definitely see myself buying more. I actually did order some yarn. I'm trying really hard not to buy yarn unless I'm allowing myself to buy yarn for like very specific projects or things, or like if I need more, something like that. But I'm not just buying like for funsies, sock yarn or things like that. But yeah, I can't recommend the Rambler yarn more. This is Golden Fern, that's the color. And I just think I love it so much. I can't wait to wear these, but both of these socks need to be photoed before they get worn. The other ones I also want to save, like I said, for the market, but these I want to wear really badly. But I really like to photo my finished knits before they get, you know, maybe I'll wear them a couple times, but especially socks, I try to photo them before I wear them because they do get, you know, they just don't look as nice as right after blocking. But yes, I think these are going to become like a knitting staple, a wardrobe staple. I love the pattern, and I just think in this yarn they're so exceptional. That's kind of a theme for right now. I've been really I don't know what to say, craving kind of more rustic, woolly yarns, more natural yarns, which is sort of how I always am, but I just feel like lately, I don't even know if this is really true, but I feel like I've just been doing a lot of, I haven't, I guess. I don't know. It's hard. This is something I was going to talk about, and it's kind of hard to talk about, but because I don't really have it fully formed in my own head, but I was kind of feeling sort of uninspired by a lot of the things I was working on. I had mentioned before that I was trying to finish up some languishing whips, which is good. And like, I'm proud of myself that I got the red radish socks done. I'm proud of myself that I made some progress on the burra. I'll talk about that a little bit more. But other than that, it just sort of was making it hard for me to maintain my like knitting excitement. And because knitting is something that really helps me to center myself and feel grounded and feel calm, I was starting to feel really agitated because I kind of didn't feel like I had that thing to fall back to. And I'm sure a lot of you will relate to that and understand how it is and what it's like, because knitting is kind of like our way of coping. And so when you lose that, I think it's easy, at least for me, to feel very ungrounded. And I was just kind of unsatisfied with a lot of my projects. And yeah, I'll quickly talk about that here. I did cast on the Moomin House socks. I had mentioned that in the last podcast, or in the plans video maybe, that I wanted to do those next. And I also recast on the Lazy Friday socks. And I don't know what the problem was. Well, with the Moomin House socks, I just knit them too tightly. There's some kind of long floats, and I didn't give enough space with my, like catching my floats. I'm also realizing as I'm knitting more and more socks that I have, I think, a very high instep, or like wide instep. I have very small feet, so I think I tend to make, or like choose a size that's maybe a little small because of the instep. It's kind of an interesting mix there for me. Like it's hard for me to choose because like compared to all of my female friends, I definitely like have the smallest shoe size. Like I can never like share shoes with my friends, but my instep is very deep or wide. I don't know how you want to say that. And so the Moomin House socks, I think the other thing was that they called for a size 2.5, US 2.5 needle. I don't know the millimeters, which is not something that I have. I actually didn't even know 2.5 existed. So I made them on a 2. And yeah, with those long floats and catching the long floats, they just were not elastic enough. And I was kind of pushing through it. I thought I could get it over the heel. And then I got about halfway through the foot of one. And I was just like, this isn't working. I'm not having fun on this project. And I just ripped it out. And I think that it's a good lesson. And that's kind of why I'm talking about this, because that's like painful in a way. But also after I did it, and I also cast on the Lazy Friday socks again. And I don't know what the deal was. I just sort of was like having trouble with it or not liking how I was executing it. And I ended up tearing both of those out. And I just felt such a deep sense of relief after doing that. And I realized that I was putting a lot of my pressure on myself to complete these projects because I have purchased the yarn for them. But also it was not making me happy. And so it's sort of that like refocusing in and realizing like not everything is going to be a success, and that's okay. And even if you did like spend money on something and it's just like not working out, you're not being wasteful by pivoting or, you know, maybe setting it aside for a little while. It's kind of the beauty of fiber is that for the most part, it's non-perishable as long as you're storing it in a good, secure way. But yeah, it was definitely kind of putting me in a funk. Like I was really feeling kind of moody about the whole thing. And so then once I gave myself that space to just quit kind of, and start something new, I felt so much better. And I've been feeling so inspired since I did that. So yeah, I don't know, maybe other people relate to this, but I feel like a lot of us were raised in a generation where we were taught to not quit, to not give up, and to, you know, like if you signed up for a class, like to go to all the classes or, you know, and I think that's a really good lesson to teach young people because it teaches resilience and that sometimes something can be really scary at first, but you end up loving it. But at the same time, I think for me, that has given me a slightly skewed perspective of seeing quitting as a failure, when really sometimes deep down you just know when it's time to quit and to pivot, and it can feel really good. So that's my whole kind of spiel about that. But then you're going to see I have a bunch of new cast-ons because I just felt inspired to start some new stuff. I have some other projects to talk about. But yeah, I was feeling sort of unproductive in a funny way. And then once I started casting on all these new things, I have all this stuff to show you. So yeah, it was a process to get there, but I'm happy that I did. So on that note, I think we'll just start with new cast-ons. And I think I'll start with this because it is the farthest along. And I was going to say the one I'm the most excited about, but I'm pretty equally excited about all of them, I think. So, you know what I will do is just here quickly honorable mention Burra, which I talked about in the video 2 weeks ago. I showed you guys my motif patterning mistake, and I haven't touched it since then. Again, I'm giving myself space a little bit, and I know I'm going to work on it. I just wasn't in the right headspace to do that. But it will come, so don't worry. But I'm not going to show it again because it hasn't been touched. But the next thing I have this is the snowshoe sock. So these are from this book, Knits About Winter. This is by Emily Foden. This was published by Pom Pom, and I bought this. Pom Pom had their like big blowout going out of sale where they were selling all of the physical publications. I'm pretty sure most of theirs are still available in digital copies, where you can still download them, but I know the physical copies are harder to come by now that they're not publishing anymore. But I ended up purchasing a whole bunch of books during that sale just because there were things that I had been looking at and sort of being like, oh, do I want this book? Do I need another book? And then once they announced that they were closing, I knew it was kind of my last chance to get some things that I had really been hoping to have. And so that was one thing I purchased. And I was very pleasantly surprised by this book. I really like a lot of the designs in there, but I haven't made anything out of it yet until now. As I was saying before, like about the shawl, I feel like it's been so unbearably cold here. We had another cold snap that has lasted, it's finally over, but it has been like multiple weeks of very cold single-digit Fahrenheit temperatures, nighttime temps dropping into negative temperatures, which is just a lot to handle. So it's Wednesday now. Saturday night, there was very low overnight temperatures into negative degrees Fahrenheit and really blowing wind. And it's just so stressful for us in those conditions because our house can handle like very cold temperatures, but when the wind rips like that, it just freezes the pipes so easily, and there's very little that we can do to like stop or change that. We do lots of things. We keep space heaters in places, we run a tap, like all the different things. Our water system is somewhat complicated, and also of course we worry so terribly for our animals because it's just so cold, and there's not a lot we can do for them. Like obviously they're inside, they're bedded, we've done what we can, but at a certain point there's nothing more you can do for them that's safe. And so it's just been really, that whole thing has been really nerve-wracking. I mean, everyone's great, everyone's okay, we're okay. We had a little freeze up on Saturday and Sunday, but nothing burst, knock on wood that nothing does. And now we're finally into these, I'm going to say warmer temperatures. The highs in the day are like in the 30s, which feels balmy at this point, but it's still quite cold. And there's so much snow outside, but I was talking to my friend about this week. It's been so frustrating because we haven't really had a snowy winter in multiple years. And so we finally have snow, and all I want to do is go cross-country skiing. Keela bought me a set of skis a few years ago for Christmas, and it's just been no snow, really. And we haven't had very snowy winters. And then it's finally snowy, and now it's too cold. And you know, there was warnings like you shouldn't be outside for more than 15 minutes or you can get frostbite, like that kind of cold. And I know those of you that are from the Midwest or Canada or other places totally know what I'm talking about times a million. But here it's not that. We don't usually get that extreme temperatures. Even where I'm from in the mountains is like where my dad lives is much colder than here. But even so, I don't want to be out when it's that cold. So yeah, it's just been, I feel pretty cooped up. Though I am hoping, I have kind of a busy week this week, but I'm hoping maybe this weekend or early next week to get out on the skis. I just like miss the outdoors. I miss the woods so much. I miss the cabin. I haven't been to the cabin in over a month. And, you know, I like to at least go out there and check and make sure mice haven't eaten everything or just that everything's okay out there. So that's something to look forward to. But anyway, all of that, I feel very chatty today. I hope you guys don't mind. But all of that is to say that this book just feels so atmospherically like appropriate. It feels very cozy. It's so wintry themed. And somehow I had overlooked this pattern. This is the snowshoe sock. And it is a DK weight sock, which I've never made a DK weight sock. I've only made like fingering weight. And I'm sold. I am so obsessed with this pattern. And I know other people have made this. Like I saw some comments and stuff saying that it is a little funny. It's a slightly funny pattern, and I'm only this far along. I'll show you before I tell you more. It is a little funny. It's a little different maybe than I would do things, but I'm just following the first one. I'm following the pattern as written. There is some errata, but I think that my book might be a newer publication, and so it's corrected. I also have like a digital copy of the book. That's one thing I loved about Pom Pom was every book you bought, you got a download code for a digital version of it, which I just think is amazing. But so I printed out the pattern. So I love to print the pattern so I can write on it without writing in my book. Sometimes I write in the books anyway, but I prefer not to. And I noticed that the printed version I have has been corrected. Like the errata has been put into this. And so I'm not sure, but it's just a little warning in case you do make these, maybe you have an older version of the pattern and there could be some little issues there. But so far I'm loving it. It's just so cozy. Like I can't wait to be done with these and wear them. And I'm already planning so many more plans, like because they go fast. So it's knit on a size US 4, which is huge to me for sock knitting. Like these were knit on a size 1, a US 1. That's generally what I knit my socks on. Colorwork, I usually go up a little bit, but for a regular single color sock, I use a US 1. And so I'm planning, Caleb immediately was like, oh, maybe I could have a pair. And I've never made him a pair of hand knit socks. So we're going to do that. I have so much sock yarn and we're trying to pick out some colors for him. So those will be probably next. I'll make him a pair unless I selfishly make myself another pair. I just see a lot of sock knitting this year, which is, it's exciting and it's fun because I feel like I missed it a lot. So the pattern calls for 2 fingering weight yarns. I'm sure you could use a DK weight yarn. But I feel like the color options are so endless if you hold 2 strands together. Like you could do a lot of marling and mixing. And I think it's a great way to use up minis or partial, you know, sock scraps. I ended up using 2 full skeins, but I have them here. So there are these 2. And like I said, I've been really craving like woollier yarns, less superwash. I don't really like superwash how it feels anyway. But for sock knitting, I always use a superwash nylon blend. It just wears the best. The Rambler, I think, is an exception to that. Generally, though, I do use a superwash with nylon. So I liked the idea of combining a traditional sock yarn with a, you know, another fingering yarn. And so the sock yarn I have here, this is from Frogget Yarns. This was their India Untangled color from 2024. So this is called Moonlight Campfire. And oh, now I'm going to forget her name, the owner. When I saw her this past year at India Untangled, she let me know that they do still sell the festival colorways. I didn't know that. I thought that they were like limited, like you couldn't get it again, but you can. They still dye it, so you are able to purchase this color if you would like, which makes me so happy because I really like the festival colors. I have the one from this year too, and I love that one. I love this one too. But so that makes me happy that I could get more if I wanted to, or you guys could if you are interested. So it's that. And then this is, oops, a pencil from Colleen of Little Lionhead Knits. And this is her British wool, Shetland wool base. And it is very similar to like a traditional Shetland 2-ply yarn, fingering weight, like a jumper weight yarn. And this is her color Irish Sea. And so I just think they're so pretty together. I love how the solid kind of mellows out, oops, the variegation in the speckly one. But I love that it's still there. It makes it, you know, they feel strong, but they also feel like woolly and fuzzy, which I love. Yeah, so I'm just super excited about this project. Oh yeah, that's one thing I will share. I don't think I have them. I started these on size US 4 DPNs because I obviously don't have a 9-inch circular. I didn't in size 4 because that is not a traditional sock size needle. And I've said it a million times, I'm just not a magic loop person. I don't really like it. And I know that that is not, I would say that's not the majority. Like I feel like most people in the small circular diameters with magic loop, but that's just not how I learned. And I just can't like get on board with it. I really struggle to not have like a little seam where the, you know, where each needle meets. And I love DPNs. I think prefer to work on DPNs, but I knit a lot faster on a 9-inch circular. So I did end up buying the ChiaoGoo red lace size US 4 in the 9-inch circular, and it is much faster. So I would say that I do prefer knitting socks on a 9-inch circular. I know that that's the, you know, the little shorties. I know this is not everybody's cup of tea. I know that it can be hard on the hands. I'm kind of used to it. Yeah, so that was exciting. Once I discovered that I was going to make, I can feel it, that I'm going to make a bunch of these, I felt like it was worth investing in a small circular. Because I have small 9-inch circulars in like all the sock sizes, but 4 is not usually a sock size. Yeah, and I had mentioned, I think 2 years ago, that I was really interested in making some DK weight socks, and I think I'm going to love it because I really do prefer a thicker sock. I don't have any here to show you, but in general, they're from Eastern Mountain Sports. I've been wearing these socks since high school, the same style of sock, and they are a merino wool, and they're a synthetic blend. It's some kind of synthetic blend, but they have 2 styles of hiking sock. One is thicker and one is thinner, but they're both pretty thick and fuzzy. So that's one thing about my hand knit socks, is I feel like a lot of them are very thin or thinner than maybe I prefer for the winter. They're great, obviously, for the other 3 seasons. But yeah, when it's cold like this, I want like a cozy, thick sock. So yeah, I feel like I've gone on for a long time about this project, but it's just been really inspiring, and I'm super psyched about it. And I love that it's a kind of mindless project. That's something else that I was really struggling with, was that I have burra, which really requires like 100% of my focus when I'm working on it, clearly, or I make a mistake. And then I was doing the Movement House socks, which they're all over Colorwork as well. And so that requires less thinking, but I still have to look at a chart and pay attention because it's not like a repeating pattern or repeating enough that you can memorize it. And so it's just been really nice to have something that I can just go at. It's a simple rib. There's not a lot going on. And it's just, yeah, it's fast. So that's one whip. And then my next project, this one will go pretty quickly, but I decided I was not going to participate, but then I gave myself the freedom to start new projects, and I decided to join the Woolly Thistle Colorwork Accessories Cal. I was going to go to the Zoom on Friday, but I just didn't have it in me. But I did cast on Friday, and so I have started. They are the babushka mittens. I'm gonna show you. I think I can show this little picture, but I'll put a picture up too. Here's a little picture for you guys, because this just has. Yeah, this doesn't have anything you couldn't get from Ravelry. But these are designed by Ducathy or Katarina Duden. I discovered these on, someone posted them on Instagram. I'm of course not going to remember who it was. But I saw them and I immediately wanted to make them. And then I realized that knit along was happening or just about to start. And that I had yarn from my 12 Days of Cheer box from the Woolly Thistle. And so it just all kind of fell into place. So these, I think I showed in the plans video, but these are the colors I'm using. I'm not going to remember which is which, I don't think. Let's see. Oh, I can figure it out based on breed. So this dyed color that I'm using for the cuff, I did one cuff. Oh no. I only got through the cuff because I printed my charts too small, so I had to print out a larger version, and I didn't do that till last night. But here's the cuff. There we go. And this is from day 11. It's a Shetland Kiwiat blend. It's over dyed with a gold color. And then I have these two for the hand of the mitten, and so the white is Cotswold and the brown is Manx Lowton. So those are cool. This Cotswold is so silky and soft. I'm hoping that it's going to pair well with this. They definitely have a different texture, I would say. And I feel like the Cotswold is spun pretty fine. That's like the one thing about this box, this holiday box, was this was sold as a sport weight, and I really feel like if this is sport weight, it is fine sport weight. Like this Cotswold is spun so fine. I mean, it's beautiful, it's magnificent, but I had to kind of pivot my plans because this yarn is finer than I expected it to be. I'm not super familiar with Gartner's yarns, and like if their sport weights tend to run finer. I've only seen their yarns at festivals, and then I have handled their Snowdonia sock, but I've never made a project with their yarns before, so I'm not super familiar. But I'm really excited to be part of the knit along. Of course, I'll probably go to the next Zoom party, event, meeting, whatever you want to call it. I think those are really, really fun. But that's a next little cast on. Like I said, I don't have much to show you. I just did the one cuff, but I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to make those mittens. And I told Caleb about it. He's like, you haven't made mittens in a while. I was like, well, that's nice of you to say. I haven't really. The last ones I made were still the, oh, I'm going to forget the name. They're not finished. Anyway, that's the takeaway. Is late bloomer, the late bloomer mittens. I still haven't finished them. I have to do the embroidery. I should just be doing that. It won't take that long. And then I just have one more project to show you, and then I have some spinning to talk about, and then some like media recommendations. So the next project I have is the Dravo pullover by Rucksack, and I'll put a picture here, I think. I just really wanted to cast this on. I really wanted to start using this yarn. So this is the piece fleece that I bought at Rhinebeck. The color is Dovetail. So this is the color. I have so far cast on and knit a few rows. I'm going to show you up close because you can start to see the shaping happening here. And so this is, I'm like a little nervous about this project because it really is a very unique construction, but I'm really excited to take it on, and I think it's going to be really beautiful as long as I can execute it. I've already made some changes, which this is my first time knitting one of her patterns. I love it so far. I feel like her brain works the way that mine does, where, you know, I'm taking liberties by assuming this, but I feel like she has a very mathematical way of thinking, which really works for me. Like, she makes sure there's stitch counts everywhere, increase counts everywhere. It's just very, in my opinion, easy to follow and easy to understand. And it doesn't leave you, like her pattern writing style doesn't leave you questioning. I feel like sometimes knitting patterns can be kind of ambiguous, and then it's kind of hard to know like what you're supposed to do, or I don't know. It just depends. Sometimes I run into things where I'm like, okay, like I think this is what the designer meant, but it's not 100% clear, and I'm just going to use my experience and make the best choice possible. Where I feel like with this pattern so far, there's no room for that. Like it's very clear what you're expected to do, which I love. I find it really helpful to have all of those counts. And I like that she also offers other options, which I think is really fun. So the design called for a tubular cast on, which I don't want to say I'm not a fan of, because honestly I haven't given it enough like chance. But I will say that I, in the past, have felt as though the tubular cast on, it's just like not worth it to me. Like it takes a long time. It's nice when it's done, but I just feel like for all the time it takes, it's not that big of a deal for me. And she did say that if you were worried about it stretching, you could choose another cast on. And generally I find that I always have to worry. I feel like everything is always stretching. I don't know if it's my knitting or just the yarns I use or what. So I ended up doing a long tail cast on, which I think I actually just, I prefer how it looks. Like I know the whole point of the tubular cast on is so that it's seamless and you don't see the cast on edge. But I think I like that. I like seeing the cast on edge. I feel like it adds like a little detail that like looks structural. I don't know. So that is one change I made from like the main pattern. And then the other change that I have done is the increases, because essentially you're knitting, like it's kind of hard to see, but it's a rectangle here. Like this is the neck opening and it's growing and gonna go over your head. Kind of like a poncho, I would say, is a similar idea. Obviously it changes when you add things to it, but this beginning part is like that. And so for the increases, she uses yarn overs, but there's a note that says if you think yarn overs are going to be too loose or create holes in the fabric, you can do like make one left or make one right. So like left or right leaning increases. And so I am doing that. I just think it's, for me, the smarter choice. We'll see how it comes out. Generally, I feel like anytime I use a yarn over, it leaves a hole, regardless of how tight I make it, or if I, you know, knit through the back loop or any of those things. Like, I just feel like it always ends up that way. So I thought it was taking the safe road. I also would say that besides lace work, I feel more comfortable doing those kind of increases. I feel like I've used them more. So yeah, that's happening. I'm so excited. I think I have, I'm so sorry about Feeny. I hope you can't hear her. I think I have 4 more rounds and then I get to start the cable pattern, which is like the tree pattern. And I looked at it last night. I didn't realize, I thought it was only on the front and the back, but it's also on the shoulders. And so I'm just really excited. I haven't done, it's been a long time. I haven't done any cabling. The last cable project I did was the Lake Socks, I think, by Lotte Lofgren. Lotte Lofgren. I'm so bad with names. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that was the last thing I think I did that had any cabling. Because even this, I don't... Oh, I guess some of this is cable. But that was a long time ago now. It's been like 2 years. 2 or 3 years. So yeah, that's my third project. That's like my big project. I talked about it before. The Peace Fleece is delivering. It just is so nice on the hand. I love how it feels because it is rustic. It is woolen spun, but it's soft. It's so soft. It has a bit of mohair in it, so it's it has like a silkiness to it that's kind of hard to describe. So also if you are like itchy, mohair is itchy for you, maybe keep that in mind. There is mohair in it. You don't really feel it though. It's not like a brushed mohair. Yeah, so then I have a little bit of spinning to talk about and then just media. So I have been actually spinning quite a bit. I was going to say I don't really know why, and I guess I don't. I just have been kind of feeling into it. Again, I think it's that like cozy winter thing where I just want to like hunker down and be inside. So I finished another skein of this black Shetland wool that I've been working on for kind of a long time now. I brought them all out. I have 3 skeins total. It's probably very hard to see. And I'm trying to spin at a consistent thickness. I'm definitely spinning this thicker than I normally spin. I want to make a cardigan, hopefully, out of this when I am finished. I haven't weighed these, but I'm guessing they're around 100 grams skeins. And so I think I need at least probably 3 more. I could probably get away with 5, but 6 would probably be ideal. And I do have, again, I haven't weighed it, but I have another bat left that I've already carded and everything. And I have more fleece left, but obviously I have to pick it and do the whole process before I can spin. But I have enough that I think I can spin 1 more skein. So that's exciting. It's coming along. This is so soft. This is wool from Caleb's sister's sheep. And it honestly might even be a lamb's fleece. I'm not 100% sure. I'm realizing the one I just spun is still greasy. It's greasier than the other ones. It was, when I got this fleece, it had been washed, but it was like it's still really lanolin heavy. And yeah, clearly when I washed this yarn, it could have had a little more rinsing maybe. It was probably on a cold day and the water got cold fast, and then the lanolin didn't come off as much because these are a lot less greasy. Anyway, so that's done, another skein. And then I'm working on kind of a big spinning project. I'm only going to touch on it here because it's actually going to be, hopefully, a separate video, maybe 2 videos. It was really inspired by, her name on here on YouTube is Tania Barley, but her handle, which you may be more familiar with on Instagram, is the Woolbarrow. And I have been a huge fan of her Instagram and her patterns for a very long time. I've never made one of her patterns, but I love her patterns. She has multiple shawl patterns that I want to make on the topic of shawls. But she recently started her YouTube channel, which is just amazing. Like, I love when someone I already love makes a YouTube, because I would say that I prefer these days to be on YouTube than to be on Instagram. I just find it more calm and I prefer long form media. So it's always exciting for me. And she showed a spinning and knitting project, which was cable spinning to make sock yarn. And I watched the video and immediately, like that night, I was like, I'm doing that. I want to do that. I had never really heard of cable spinning, and I can't wait to try it. I'm not quite there yet, but I carded, I'll show you in a second, I carded up some bats. I made a fiber blend that I feel will be good for socks. The whole thing is kind of nerve-wracking, but also I wanted to make, again, is there going to be a picture? No, the pictures are too little. But it's the Polina socks by Teti Litzek. Again, this is going to be the year of Teti's patterns. I've been wanting to knit them for years, and it's happening this year. But the Polina socks, I'm pretty sure this is a Patreon, maybe Patreon exclusive pattern. Yes, Patreon exclusive pattern. So if you'd like this pattern, you could join her Patreon. It's a great Patreon, by the way. Like, if you like knitting and like kind of like, you know, cozy content, stuff like that, I feel like her Patreon is a really good one. But yeah, so these are the Polina socks. They are, I think, they're like a spin-off design of her Polina. There's a pullover and a vest, I think, which were inspired by, I'm not going to remember her last name. Here, it's right here, Polina Raiko, and she was a Ukrainian artist, kind of like a folk artist, and she painted her whole house. If you Google, you'll see about it. Her art was very, very beautiful, but sadly a lot of it was destroyed when the Russians bombed the dam that flooded a huge portion of Ukraine. And yeah, so these patterns are an homage to her and her art, and I find her art to be really beautiful. And for me, like, I have Ukrainian ancestry, and it's something that's like very distant to me, and I'm always sort of trying to find connection there, I guess. I don't have connection with that side of my family, and yeah, so it's a beautiful thing, and I'm excited. I love to support fellow people who share my ancestry. It feels connective for me. But anyway, I am doing a cable spin to make these socks, and I'm really excited. So I'll show you my bats now. They're in a big basket, so we'll see what I can show you, and I'll tell you about them. And then you'll see a whole nother video that's going to be a process video of this, which I think I will I've already filmed some of it, so I don't even know. But here they are. So there's two colors. They're both similar blends. I started with, I had some roving that I bought from, where did I buy it? I don't know. I bought it at Rhinebeck, and it was mohair. It was very inexpensive mohair, and I will say there's quite a bit of guard hairs in it. I don't think it's going to matter because it's for a sock. I actually think it's going to be good for the sock. It had a very long staple length. I think it's going to be very strong, which is what I was going for. So I blended that. I also had some roving that was Icelandic with silk. So that is part of this. And then I chose a like soft yarn or soft wool to go with those, because those were my like strength creating wools. So the peach is from a merino, hand-painted merino braid, which it's such a funny story about those braids. I have so many of them. A friend of mine bought a lot of, how many was it? It was a huge lot on Facebook Marketplace. I want to say it was like 50 braids, hand-painted braids. And they were like a steal. It was like such a good buy. I want to say they were like $6 each or less. And she was like, if I buy these, will you take half of them? She's like, I want first pick, but will you take the other half? I was like, sure, it's fine. So I have a bunch of them, and I don't actually like spinning them very much. I don't really like the yarn it produces, but they're great for blending. So that's what created the color in this. And then in the gray, I had Jacob roving. And I'm not going to remember where any of these are from. Like the tag from the Jacob roving is long gone. I know I bought it at Rhinebeck in 2021, I think. I think so. Yeah, so that's how the gray became gray. And I'm pretty excited. I've spun 2 bobbins of the peach so far. So 2 bats. I made 4 bats of each. Clearly I didn't weigh them. I just eyeballed it, but you can see they're different amounts of bobbins. And so I will then ply these together, and you over ply, and then I will ply that again. So it's a 4 ply. And yeah, this is a process I have not experimented with yet, and I'm super excited to try it out and see. I love how I'm saying I'm going to knit this pattern. We'll see if I even get that far. I will knit this pattern, even if my spinning doesn't pan out. I know that Chetty made a pair with Let Lopey, and I think those would be extra cozy. So that's my fallback plan. If my spinning doesn't pan out, I'll make a pair in not Plojalopi, Let Lopey. So yeah, that's my spinning adventures. Like I said, there will be a Cap Ryan Craft episode. I'm thinking there might be 2. There'll definitely be one of the whole spinning process, and then probably the knitting process as well. I'm not sure if there will be enough content to break that up into 2 or not. So that will be coming at a later date. I'm already filming for it, but you know, these things, they take time. And I think that's all the projects I have to share with you. And then I just have a couple little media things. Waiting for the Feeny to stop her bangs. The first thing I'll show you is this oracle deck. It's called the Folklore Oracle, I think. Yes, Folklore Oracle by Hedda Knox and Giada Rose. She did the illustrations. And I don't normally buy this, like, it's very rare that I buy a deck because you could just end up with so many, and I do kind of already have a lot of them. But this one just really called to me. The art is so beautiful. I love folklore. I love, yeah, I don't know how else to say it. Like the connectiveness of folklore and craft, storytelling and craft, and the way those things are very intertwined and connected. And I loved the symbolism of this deck. So yeah, that was just a little treat I got myself. My birthday is coming up. It's a semi-big birthday, so I keep using that as an excuse to buy things that I want for myself. But I want to show you because it's so pretty. It has, I've never seen cards like this with a foil edge. I think it's beautiful. And then I wanted to show you I won't show too many, but I'll show you some of my faves. Also, you can go on Hot Us's Instagram, and she shows many of them as well. Here's one, the fairy ring, of course. I think that's so beautiful with the yellow amanitas. And then, of course, this one, the kayak. Beautiful. She has her little sheep friend. And then there's one more. This one is actually great. This is not the one I was going to show you, but that's broomstick. Love it. Beautiful. And then here it is, the spinning wheel. There's also a wool walking card. So it's just, there's a lot of like fiber symbolism in here. And I really just thought it was beautiful. So that was a little treat for myself. And I've followed her Instagram for kind of a long time. So I'll make sure that her name is tagged below if you'd like to have a look at her Instagram. Then for books, they're only on Kindle. I was going to show you guys my Kindle though, because I redid the like collage in my case. Kind of for spring. I put some like, you know, an herbalist chest and some pressed flowers. I just was ready for a change. I hadn't changed it since the fall, and like the autumn themed one wasn't doing it for me anymore. But for books, I have a recommendation, I guess, which was recommended to me from you guys, one of you. I will not remember who, but you know who you are. Thank you. And so I had seen these books before, and someone commented saying, I think they said, have you read Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher? I can tell you will like it based on what you read. Just go look at the UK covers, and I know that you'll want to read it. And I had actually seen those covers before on Pinterest. They're all over Pinterest. And if you like cozy fantasy romance, you will also love this. So go look up the covers. The series is called the Saint of Steel series. And yeah, if you look up those UK covers, you'll be like, oh, it's so cute. So I started reading one, and I'm so addicted. It's all I've been reading. I read the first two. So I read Paladin's Grace, and then what's the other one? Paladin's Strength, I think is the second one, right? There's 4 so far. So yeah, I read the first 2. I read them in like, I think I read one a week in the last 2 weeks. Yes, Paladin's Grace and Paladin's Strength, and then I'm just about to start Paladin's Hope. But I was so pleasantly surprised. I highly recommend. They're really cute. And as I would always say about like a romance book, what I really like is that the romance is like a main part, but it's not the main part. There's other things going on, which is something that sometimes a romance can be kind of boring to me if there's no like other plot. Like obviously I'll enjoy it for just like the funsies of it, but at least there's more going on. I'm trying not to spoil too much about it, but there is like a murder mystery plot going on. There are different internal things for all the characters. There's amazing world building. So this, I think, it's like a spin-off series of her book Sword Heart, which I can't wait to just like delve into the T. Kingfisher universe. She has a bunch of books that are set in this same location, and so the world building is great. I love when an author does that, where they just keep putting us back down into their world and showing different facets of it. So I'm just excited to get involved in that. But I highly recommend. They're really cute. And yeah, pretty adventure-y too. Like, not too much adventure, but a good amount. And they're a little spicy, quite a bit, I guess. So, you know, enter at your own risk or whatever. Then I have some music to recommend and one podcast, which I don't always have a podcast recommendation, but sometimes. So I have been listening to some more music. As you can see, I've really been inside a lot. I'm doing all the inside activities. But I have 3 musical artists to chat about that I've been listening to a lot lately. The first one is Offa Rex. I have recommended them before. It's a mashup between the band The Decemberists and the folk singer Olivia Cheney. And I mentioned this a long time ago in a podcast, so I thought I'd bring them up again because I've been listening to them again. and I just love their album. I wish so badly they would make a second album. It's called The Queen of Hearts. It was released in 2017. And it really is just such a masterpiece. It really harkens back to folk rock of the 60s and 70s. I feel like there's a lot of like Fairport Convention inspiration there, or Pentangle or Steel Eye Span, that kind of thing. And that's very much right up my alley. And I've just been re-delving back into that album and loving it as much or more than the first time. So that's one recommendation. Then the next one is the band Wet Leg. And I know they're having like a huge success right now. And I'm so happy for them. I feel like the first single I heard of theirs, which one was it? I can't think of it, but they're female fronted. They're from the Isle of Wight, which I think is pretty interesting because that's kind of a small place. And they have a pretty cool story. Like, they're just pretty much regular people who are making music and now receiving recognition for it, which I think is a beautiful thing. It's definitely like a little edgy. So, you know, depends, of course, how you feel. It might not be your style, but they're, they've been on my radar for a while. And this new album, I think it's, what's it called? The new album is called Moisturizer. And I think it's great. I love to see female fronted rock. You'll see a lot of my recommendations are female musicians. The older I get, the more I just have more interest in what women have to say. It's just the truth. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying their new album. I think it's great. And then the next recommendation, I feel like I'm really late to the party on. I just found her through Instagram, but her name is Sofia Isella, and she's very young, but I find her music to be very poignant and very moving. Her performance style is incredibly artistic. I guess I will give kind of a trigger warning for her music because she really does go after, you know, pretty dark experiences. I would say that it's, if you're also a woman, you will relate. You have experienced these experiences, which is a sad thing to say, but it's the truth. And it's just really beautiful to see someone so young with this raw, beautiful expression of life and her experience. And yeah, it's just been very refreshing. Like I said, the topics are a bit dark, so, you know, decide how you feel. I feel like a lot of you will have heard of her. I guess I was doing a little bit of digging about her after I heard a couple singles, but she, I think, opened for Taylor Swift at one of her shows, one of her, what is that tour? Her big tour that just happened that I'm not going to remember because I'm like not a Swiftie. I have no hate towards Taylor Swift. It's not my style, kind of. The Eras tour. There we go. I feel like such an old person. But so I think she opened for Taylor Swift, and that obviously was a huge amount of exposure. And she does not have an album out yet. I think there's now 3 EPs, or two and a third one coming, or 3 and a fourth one coming. I'm not sure, but I would recommend, if you like listen to a single and you like it, I would definitely recommend watching some live performances. They're very moving. It's definitely gritty and raw and all those sorts of things, but it's just nice. I love to see, not that I'm old by any stretch of the imagination, but I do feel like I've reached that point in my life where my radicalness has been channeled in a different direction, if that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like I express my resistance and my resilience and all of those things through maybe what would be perceived as softer means these days. And so it's just really nice for me to see. I mean, it's also sad, but it's nice for me to see a younger generation who feels the things that we felt and expresses them, and just like carrying on the torch a little bit. You know, I dream of the world being a better place where that's not as necessary, but sadly, it is still necessary. So it's nice to see a young person really speaking their mind about the way the world is. And that seems a little preachy, so I guess I'll stop. But yeah, it's nice. And then the last thing I have to recommend is a podcast. I have been meaning to listen to this podcast. I think now for almost 3 years. I looked it up, and some of these early episodes are from 2023. Doesn't feel like it's been that long because I remember when she released it. But the podcast is called The Scottish Folk Podcast. And the woman who is the creator, her name is Eileen Budd. She is a storyteller, folklore carrier, all of those things from Scotland. And she made a podcast, and it's all different stories from Scotland. And like I said, I've been meaning to listen to this. It's been in my podcast library for like ages, since she released the first episode. And I just haven't gotten around to listening to it. And I started listening to it when I was spinning, I think a couple days ago now, and I love it. It's great. I highly recommend. I talked about it a little bit before, but I love to listen to stories when I'm spinning, especially, like folk stories, folklore. I think that those two things are deeply, deeply intertwined. Like fibercraft and storytelling they're like two sides of a coin. I think it would have been very typical and traditional to be doing, especially in the winter, to be doing fibercraft, whether that be spinning, knitting, wool processing, whatever, and then having another person either reading a story or telling a story, or the people who were doing the craft were also sharing stories. So I think that those things are deeply connected, and so that's something that I really enjoy doing, is listening to stories while I spin. Yeah, it feels very appropriate, and like those things go together nicely. This podcast is so long. I hoped that it wouldn't be, because I have to edit it today as well. So I think I'm going to give up here. I'm going to quit chatting your ears off. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I feel like I was just quite chatty today. Lots to talk about, which is why I wanted to make this episode. Other than that, what else do I have to share? Like I said, there's lots of things in the works. I have multiple videos that I'm filming right now. Hopefully they'll come out sooner or later, that they will come to fruition. Like I said, I am also working on a new knit-along plan, but the start date is not for months. And I will say, though, that progress is being made on that front. I'm getting more to where I can at least start talking about it and letting you guys know what that's going to look like. And then, there's some other exciting things that I'm going to announce soon. I was thinking of announcing something today, but it's just not quite ready yet. And I want it to be perfect for you guys before I tell you about it. So I think that's all I have. I love to hear what you guys are working on, what you're reading, what you're listening to. Tell me your thoughts about any or all of these things. Oh yeah, that's one thing I will say is happy Valentine's Day. This is going to come out on Friday, so Valentine's Day is tomorrow for you. So I just want to express my love and gratitude to each and every one of you. You are all my Valentines. I know Valentine's Day can be intense for a lot of us. Even those of us in relationships, I do feel like there's a certain level of pressure and disappointment and all those things that are really intense. So if you are feeling any of that, or if you're feeling lonely, just know that I'm thinking of you. And I think self-love or friendship love is very valid on this day. It's not just for people who are in relationships. And so that's exciting. And then the next Saturday, my birthday is a week after Valentine's Day. So that's coming up too. It feels like a very full month. Caleb's birthday is soon. Our 10-year anniversary is soon, which is just insane. I feel like each year we just feel older and older. It's crazy to have been with someone for 10 years, and it feels like 5 minutes in a way, So, lots of this is a big year for me. It's a lot of big milestones in my family and my friends and all that stuff. So it's starting to happen. I feel like January was really calm, but then going into February and March and then May, all these months, there's big milestones in my life. So it's exciting and very reflective. think that's it. I wanted to make sure to say Happy Valentine's Day to you guys because I appreciate you all very much. And I guess I'll sign off. If you are looking for me elsewhere, I am on Instagram, I am on Ravelry, I'm on Goodreads, and other places. It's all in the description box below. I'm hoping for right now to be sticking to a video every 2 weeks, but I might have one next week. I'm not totally sure. It just depends on how things pan out. And I always forget something in the sign off, but I think that's all I've got. If I forgot something, we'll figure it out next time. And we'll talk really soon, okay? Bye!